3 quick tips for you if you plan on taking DCI auditions this November or early December. Hey, what's up guys? Huei-Yuan coming to you from Los Angeles, California. Today is Sunday, November 5th. It's just after 5 o'clock. I just finished today's office hours for the Audition Founders Group. Today we're going to be talking about the do's and don'ts while you're at DCI auditions. For everyone who's watching this, if you're catching this on the replay, you can always leave questions on my Facebook page. Instagram folks, comments in, and we'll take some live Q&A at the very end. What I'll do is I'll tell you the don't, coming from my experience of having attended these auditions as someone who was auditioning, to someone who eventually started teaching these groups, and then also someone who now prepares students to take these types of auditions. These are the things that you don't want to do, and then instead I'll give you the action that you should be doing. Do this instead. Number 1, don't hope that you'll do well. And when I tell my students, hope is not an effective performance strategy. A lot of times I hear students say, oh, I hope I do well on my math test. And it's like, well, did you do the math problems that your teacher assigned you? Did you get the right answer on the homework? If you didn't get the right answer during the homework, you're probably not going to get the right answer on the test. So instead of hoping that you do well, you should know that you're going to do well before you go into the audition. So what does that entail? That means you've prepared the material, you've learned all the material, and there's a difference between learning and like really being able to play the material. I'll give you an example. When I was in 7th grade, my teacher was assigning me a snare drum solo, and he said, okay, how about The Downfall of Paris? And I said, oh, I've played that before, and I'm a 7th grader at this point. And he's like, yeah, but did you really play it? In one sense, maybe you are able to play the music and get through the music, and in another sense, you can actually play it. So in a recent interview that I did with my good friend Joe Roach, who's the corps director for the Cavaliers Drum Bugle Corps, he was talking about really being able to perform the simple things really well.
I want to see you at your best. And I think the big place that kids run into a hiccup is individual auditions. You know, they want to prepare something to play individually. I've heard kids play, 9-minute marimba concertos that was just, they started working on a month ago. I would rather hear Yellow After the Rain played really well, than something that's beyond your grasp, that you're just trying to impress us with. And that goes for battery instruments as well. Play a piece from your marching band show. It doesn't have to be flashy. Just play it really well.
And what you want to be able to do is all the exercises that are in the packet, that's your opportunity to showcase just how well you can do those basics. So you're able to play the music, but then of course you've heard people talk about memorizing the music. I'm always shocked at how many students come in and they kind of know the music, but they are far from having it all memorized. You should be able to play anything that's in the packet at the drop of a dime if the staff calls, okay, play this, because what will end up happening is they might call variations on the exercise, or they might say, okay, hey, let's change this. Instead of playing it like this, we're going to do this now. And if you're just struggling with the basic exercise when it comes time to do the variations on the fly, that's going to really separate the people who are really well prepared versus people who aren't as prepared. Here's another tip. In order to be prepared, you've got to video record yourself. One thing that everyone will do on the first camp is they'll play an individual audition. We're moving people in and out of the rooms into different spots, but everyone has to go in a room and play by themselves at some point. And what you can do is put yourself in the spot at home and just play through the audition packet as an individual. 2 things. 1, it'll help you feel a little bit nervous. You see that red light come on, you're like, oh, and your goal is to be able to perform the way you've been practicing at home. So when you actually go to the audition, you'll feel a little more relaxed because you actually ran through your individual audition at one point. The second thing is you watch the video back and you'll see in the video, hey, did that look good? Did that sound good? If it didn't look or sound good at home, then it probably doesn't look or sound good at the audition, right? And you're like, oh, well, I'll just kind of kick it up a notch when you get there. The point isn't to kick it up a notch. The point is to do really well at home and then just be consistent with the way you're performing at the audition with what you're doing at home. So you can watch the video, you'll get some good feedback from watching the video. Oh, I didn't hear that, or I didn't see that thing that I'm doing. Right now we're in all Southern, all state audition mode right now, so a lot of private students are recording themselves. We listen back to the recording, we say, oh, did you hear that? Did you notice that little thing that you were doing before? Or did you see this thing that you were doing before? No, right? And so that'll inform your practice session. So between now and when you go to your auditions, you should be recording yourself quite a bit, listening back and watching the video and seeing, do I look and sound like the people who were vets from last August? If you are planning on traveling somewhere to go to your auditions, just have everything mapped out in advance. You know, your travel info, the times, the schedule, what time you need to be where. Do you have all your packing list materials put together? So just take care of all that, the travel logistics stuff, so that you're not showing up to camp on Friday feeling stressed or flustered. Number 2, don't ask what else you can do better. I was always surprised at how many students did this at auditions, Friday night, Saturday night. Let's say the lunch was from 12 to 1, we end 1 to 5, okay? And then at 4:45, we would stop and recap what happened over the last block. Okay, we're doing this after dinner. We're going to be doing this, blah, 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 blah. And then at, 4:59, a few students would walk up and they'd say, hey, Huei, is there anything that I can do better? It's a double-edged sword, because in one sense, the teacher, I'm like, hey, yes, that's great that you want to get better and you're asking your teacher for feedback, right? And you should absolutely do that when you're at your school and when you're taking your private lessons. You say, hey, is there anything that I can do better, right? But in an audition situation, here's what happens when a student walks up and says, hey, is there anything that I can do better? We've just finished a 4-hour block. A lot of information has gone out in those 4 hours. Probably at some point you've been on a drum and a staff member has said something to you. Hey, when you stand up, make sure that you relax your shoulders like this. Make sure your stick angle is this way, or make sure your fingers are here, here. You've gotten some either very specific individual feedback, or you've gotten some feedback that's been addressed to the entire group. Those are the things that you need to do better. And so when you walk up and you say, hey, is there anything that I can do better? You're asking them to reiterate the material that's already been taught the last 4 hours. This doesn't mean you shouldn't ask questions. Let me just be very clear about this. Huei is not saying, hey, when you go to auditions, don't ask questions. That's not right. If you ask a question, the question has to be specific and targeted. Earlier, you told me that there was an accent at the beginning of my roles. And so I'm really thinking about accenting. Is there something else that I can think about to prevent myself from accenting at the beginning of the role? Or you could say, earlier you said that we're playing 2 equal notes for the doubles as we're doing this. Is that more from the wrist or the arm, or how are we thinking about motivating it? You just want to have a very specific and targeted question. And in one instance, you can say, hey, I've been listening. This is what I heard. And this is what my understanding of it is. Can you clarify this for me? Or can you elaborate on this for me? Don't just issue a blanket, hey, what can I do better? Okay, because that just shows that you're lacking that little chip that we're looking for, which is you're an independent learner. You're great at taking in the information, synthesizing it with what you've already been hearing, and then applying it to your own personal circumstance. Be aware of your own playing strengths and weaknesses and say, how can I transfer this information to my own playing to make sure that I'm doing the right stuff? Take notes. You're going to get more information than you can process or remember. There's going to be so much information flowing. In one of the blog posts that I posted on my website, huei-yuan.com, it's entitled Bass Audition Advice, and 5 Phantom Regiment bass members gave their audition advice. I would encourage you to read that if you haven't read that yet and you're going for auditions, even if you're not a bass drummer, because a lot of great info was in there. But one of the things was Alyssa mentioned, you're showing the staff that you're a great student also. So as a great student, anytime a staff member tells you something, that thing has to be at the top of your priority list. And your goal is for them not to have to say that thing to you again. If someone says, hey, I need you to move your finger to here, from here to here, or hey, your pointer finger is curling in on your Stevens grip, right? As you're holding your mouse, the fingers are like this. I need you to make sure that pointer finger is underneath the thumb so that you're able to do the interval shifts. And then 2 minutes later, they say, hey, your pointer finger is curled underneath. If the staff member tells you something, your goal is to take care of it. And then you have to keep thinking about it, because until you create that new habit, if you're not thinking about it, you're probably going back to your old habit. So what you want to do is you want to write everything down. Anything that you want to remember, just make it a general rule of thumb. Write it down so that you can reference back to it during blocks. You go to your lunch block, you relax for a little bit. 10 minutes before you go in, you say, okay, last block they told me this, 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 and this. Okay, this next 4 hours, I'm going to concentrate on these 4 things and making sure that I don't mess those 4 things up. Rule of thumb, you get told once, great, take that as a piece of feedback. You're trying to make the adjustment. You get told the same thing twice, that's a, hey, I need to pay attention to this and take care of it. You get told the same thing 3 times. That's a, hey, something is totally wrong. I need to figure out something and fix this thing. Take notes and show that you're a great student. Okay, the last don't that I have for you is don't be afraid. A lot of times students will say that they're afraid to go to auditions. I'm afraid to go into the room. I'm not ready yet, or I'm not going to make it. I'm only 15, or I just got the packet a week ago. I'm not ready. I'm afraid to go. A lot of times things that end up being great come from people overcoming their fears and just doing it. And my encouragement for you is if you're even thinking about taking an audition, you should definitely do it. Even if you don't make a spot, you don't get a call back, you will learn so much, and you'll be around other people who are also excited and really into this activity the way you are, and you'll get to meet people from all over the place. You'll get to know the staff better. The don't is don't be afraid. Your do is go to auditions. Register, go, get the experience, and that's your chance to meet other people, to learn about the organization, to learn about the people behind the organization, the history, the tradition, and there's just so much that comes from actually being there. My first drum corps camp was when I was a junior in high school. I didn't know anything, and I went there, and it's just, in one weekend I was completely transformed. Realized how much I enjoyed doing it, met other people who were into it, experienced what it felt like to focus and practice at something for 12 hours on Saturday, and then long Friday, long Sunday. It's a cool experience to go through. So if you are even remotely thinking about doing it, do it. Don't be afraid and just go for it. That's it, guys. 3 quick do's and don'ts for you. If there are any open questions, I'll take some right now. Let me just scroll through these Instagram comments, and if not, then I'll just catch you in the next live Q&A that we do. Mitchell, good to see you, my friend. Wesley, Chris, R. Beatty, hi Huei, I love all your videos. You helped me get so much better. Our marching band got a 1 at state competition today. Awesome! Congratulations, R. Beatty, and thank you so much for that comment. I appreciate you checking out the content and sharing the messages like that. And congrats, all your hard work from the season has paid off. Haley, Lisa, Emperor Drums, it's just gorf. 3 do's and don'ts for DCI auditions. Number 1, don't hope you'll do well. You should know that you're going to do well by preparing the material in advance, memorizing the material, and video recording yourself. Number 2, don't ask, what can I do better? You should be taking notes, you should be paying attention, apply everything that you're hearing, soak it in like a sponge, take notes, and then implement that information. And number 3, don't be afraid. If you're even thinking about taking auditions, if you're just like, oh, I might want to try, yeah, go try it. The experience that you'll get from going, it'll last a lifetime, it'll motivate you, you'll get to meet other people who are excited about auditioning. Go register and attend auditions. I also want to mention that I've just opened up the second round of Audition Founders beta users. This is my online course/seminar for people who are currently taking auditions for DCI. I help you coach through the process, things that you should be doing before, during, and after auditions. Piloting the material since October with the first 10 users, and now we're ready to admit the next 10 users. We're looking for 10 motivated folks who are putting in the work but just want some extra support via the community, coaching, and the content that we create through the course. This info will eventually be in an online course, but as an Audition Founders beta user, you have lifetime access to all the content, exclusive interviews, videos, weekly office hours that we create through this course. You have lifetime access to all this material. All right, guys, the information, huei-yuan.com/auditions, linked in my bio. First 10 people who sign up, or when registration closes in 2 weeks, which is November 19th. All right, thanks guys for watching. We'll see you later. Bye. I was talking to my students yesterday about a time when I was in high school and YouTube didn't exist. I mean, I know it's crazy for some of you who are watching the videos right now. You're like, oh,